It is with great pleasure that I welcome the invitation by Sergi Awajobi to say a few words at this exciting conference organized by the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria. The topic of this conference could not be more relevant. At a time of significant change in Nigeria and across the world, financial institutions and bankers play a key role in fostering economic growth, and in particular, sustainable economic development, whilst facing significant challenges. I am delighted that financial inclusion is actually a central theme in the agenda of this conference, because only by enabling individuals and businesses access to affordable financial products and services that meet their needs, can the financial industry fully leverage the opportunities that the new world order presents. The individuals and businesses that you can help develop today, and I understand that this signifies helping more than 30 million people over the next few years. This will surely provide a platform for an ever-increasing array of exciting initiatives for banking and bankers. Efforts to mitigate credit risk, to stimulate lending, and a sustained increase in consumer credit in order to boost growth in the economy should also be welcomed. Over more than 20 years, I've had the enormous easier access to information through the internet, all present vast opportunities for the banking industry. But the world is changing rapidly, and the speed of change is unprecedented. The banking industry in Nigeria faces some important trends. A global economy that is indeed a mosaic of unevenness in a continuous state of flux. The need for increased accountability and compliance in tandem with proactive regulatory management and self-regulation. Internationally, we are witnessing political shifts and massive realignments of economic activity. A changing consumer landscape where spending power in emerging markets like Nigeria is expected to grow significantly faster than that in developed markets, and where moving forward, lifestyle demands should be ingrained in every offering. Technological connectivity, online banking, and more generally a shift of the economy to knowledge-intensive industries highlights the importance of well-trained talent and the ability to retain staff that will be increasingly mobile. Talent constraints are in fact one of the main hurdles, the digital mindset, so that banks can ensure they optimize the way they operate. At Cranfield University here in England, we work closely with the banking industry and value the engagement with charter bankers. For instance, I have recently launched a new executive program in collaboration with the UK's Chartered Banker Institute. We believe that together we can identify more effectively the needs of bankers and banks, put knowledge into action, and lead the improvement of practice. I am so pleased to see that the Chartered Institute of Bankers in Nigeria is at the forefront in setting high standards of professional excellence and ethical conduct in Nigeria, whilst encouraging innovative thinking among bankers. The only way forward is the 360 degrees approach. Banks will need to become universal providers of a variety of financial services with personalized digital solutions and structures that allow for competitive, flexible, responsible, and thriving financial organizations. I hope you enjoy the rest of the conference.
Thank you very much. And so, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as I welcome the office holders of CIBN, I can see the immediate past president, and I can also see here in the audience the first vice president, the treasurer, and all of you distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Let me officially welcome all of you to the second day, and then without much ado, let me invite the chairman of our first panel discussion this morning that will focus on workforce of the future, people and skills, And no better a person than a man who understands personal management at the highest level. He is the president of the Chartered Institute of Personal Management of Nigeria. Please join me as I welcome Mr. Lawale Taufik Adediran. That's our chairman of session. Our guest speaker is Mrs. Funke Amobi, country head, Human Capital, Stanbic IBTC. Let me also invite the panelists, Mr. Joseph Olofishola, Human Capital Leader, Deloitte and Touch. Mrs. Habiba Balogun, Director and Principal Consultant, Habiba Balogun Consulting Limited. Ms. Rosie Ebiathel, Group Head, Human Capital Management and Development, First Bank of Nigeria Limited. And Mr. Suraj Oyewale, Founder, Jarus Hub. So that's a very erudite panel. This morning, the moderating will be very presidential. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Well, bankers are lively people. Good morning, everyone. Thank you. That's the way we want to keep it for the next 1 hour, 15 minutes. The panelists have been introduced already, so I just want to call on one of our own and one of your own. She's a banker, and she's HR professional par excellence. We always love to exhibit her. She's among the icons that make the HR profession thick. So I would like to just invite straight to the podium our guest speaker, Funke Amobi. Can we give her a round of applause?
Talking here today about the future of work, specifically on, let's be sure because I can't see my slides, specifically on the workplace of the future, people and skills. Can I please ask that you turn super well done, thank you. And this is a subject matter that should keep every professional, regardless of industry, awake. That should keep us excited about what does the future hold for us, and indeed how should we position ourselves in the future. So I'm going to be talking for the next 25-30 minutes, I believe, on what does this really mean? What's the future of work all about? What are the factors shaping the future of work? What are the implications for not just people and skills, for integrated talent management? How we find the talent, what kind of talent are we looking for? What kind of talent are you becoming or have you become? Then I'll go very quickly into my world, Stanbic IBTC, to see the kind of things that we've been doing to respond to these changes, and we'll hand over to this excellent panel that is waiting to take on all the questions and take on the subject on a broader basis. So, as an introduction, when we hear the future, the only reason is exciting is because there is a past and there is a present. So it's because a whole lot of change is taking place. Change to the extent that, as our earlier speaker in the video said, an unprecedented pace is upon us. So it's important that we get our there's no understanding the future of work without understanding the construct of what is shaping the future of work. So I'll touch on that very quickly before we go into the subject. So a lot has impacted what we call today work. In the past generations, we've had a whole lot of rapid, unprecedented change that some people have, in some way captured in different ways. But the global recognition of the change that has hit us in the past generations is what we call the revolution, the industrial revolution that has come in stages. Now, what we do, how we do it, where we do it, is really what we mean by work. It's not just what we lay our hands upon to do in the world of work. It's in the context of the entire space. How do we do the work? Who do we work with? Where do we work? So we're going to be considering all of this. And how has this played out globally? Globally, we say the disruption is at a heightened level such that we're fatigued. What are we talking about? Disruption, fatigue, everywhere. And there's a single thread that is running through most of the disruptive, realities that face us today. It's no discussing the subject. It's a known fact. Most economies are indeed VUCA. The Nigerian economy, not being the only one, volatile, uncertain, hugely complex, and very ambiguous. However, in all of this, we still must find the identity of how do we position to achieve our business objectives. I'll talk very briefly about the Industrial Revolution. I said earlier that we're in the fourth Industrial Revolution, and that has raised a lot of, it's evoked a lot of concerns, some of which is emotive. So people come to tell me, Funke, are you trying to say to us that our jobs will fall away? And I go further to traumatize them by saying the short answer is yes. And the long answer is that some more exciting jobs have evolved. So the question is, how ready are you to adapt and to shift? So let's talk about the fourth Industrial Revolution. Now, over the years, from the 18th century, we've been faced by, and this is the way to understand the future of work, understand how did it come upon us, what are the factors shaping and driving it, then we'll know how to respond to each of those factors. So in the first, second, third, and fourth Industrial Revolution, there's always been a change. Each revolution impacts work in a different way. Now, the first Industrial Revolution was really all about how do we minimize manual labor? How do we begin to do things a lot more, electronically? We went into division of labor in the second Industrial Revolution, where we started talking about specialization. And in the third, we were already talking about automation. But guess what? In the fourth Industrial Revolution, we're talking now about digital revolution. So whilst the first three revolutions was about empowering corporations, the fourth Industrial Revolution is about empowering people. That is where the impact on the world of work begins to play out. So there are technically, research tells us, 5 forces that indeed are driving the fourth Industrial Revolution and shaping the way the world of work will have to adjust to those forces. And there are 5 forces. I'm only going to be focusing for the exigency of time, on just one of those forces, because that impacts us the most in our industry. 5 forces: the rising advancement, the rapid advancement of technology. Secondly, changes in the demographics of our environment, and hyper-globalization. We heard the speaker in the video talk to us about the impact of globalization on the future of work, and indeed the profound societal changes upon us, and the drive for low-carbon economy. All of these 5 forces will impact the way work is constructed, the way work is desired, the way work is enabled, facilitated in the now and into the future. And it will have a huge impact on people and skills. I'm going to take each of those factors one after the other. Just come with me as we tell the story, at the end of which you will be able to find yourself, or I hope that every professional here will be able to find yourself in the context of, what does this mean for me? Am I ready for the future of work? Am I concerned about the right things? Am I making the right choices? As a professional and as perhaps a function leader, am I taking the right decisions at work? So, the World Economic Forum is one body that has done exceptionally well in researching the subject of the future of work. So you may want to Google up a lot of their papers, and add on to your knowledge to really understand what they're saying. So let's take them one after the other. Technological advancement, which is where I'll focus on later on. The World Economic Forum, not just Funke, have actually predicted that jobs will go. 5 billion about jobs are likely to fall away in our world. What does that mean, Funke? By the rapid advancement of technology, a lot of what we do today will be replaced by technology. It is already being replaced by technology. In my institution, I say my workforce is 4,000 plus robots. So we've got 3 robots. They're in the workforce because they get the work done. And we'll talk about them as we go along. So robotics, artificial intelligence, machine learning, all of this would impact the world of work. Now, some technology tipping point surveys say to us that by the year 2025, which is how many years from now? About 7 years, 6 years from now. That survey, technology tipping point, says that 95% predictive capability was put to the table to say that by the year 2025, 10% of the world's population will be wearing clothes that are connected to the internet. Hello? I could stop there. What does that mean for the world of work? It means huge, profound connectivity. It means massive exchange of resources, ideas, and data. It means a platform connection and conversational platforms. What does that mean for how we work today, for the kind of skills we need to begin to build today? And that same technology tipping survey says that by 2025, we will have 48% likelihood, which is almost 50%, that the first artificial intelligence director will be installed on a corporate board. I'd like to imagine that to be a corporate board in financial services. Because artificial intelligence will help us get very quickly to the decisions we need to make at board level. So if we feel that a robot will be sitting at the board, 50% likelihood by 2025, what are we talking about? Technology impacting the future of work. The second force I introduced was globalization. It's predicted and is saying that a greater number of people will begin to be more individualistic in their patterns and their approaches to life. So we will see a lot more talent fluidity. We'll see portability of skills. We'll see talent outsourcing. We'll see, the kind of coexistence of talent ecosystems. Imagine First Bank, Stanbic IBTC. I can't see the other banks, but you can fill in your bank name, running an ecosystem of talent. So that's what globalization would impact upon us as far as the future of work is concerned. E-commerce has already taken the portal. We don't need to see that in predictive science. We can see it already as a fact. Areas of impact will be profound as far as globalization is concerned. What would I say about the third force? Demographic shifts. It's no long research to know that the baby boomers will be soon out of the world of work. And our millennials and our generation X and Z will take over the space. The question is, what are their preferences? I'm not in the school of thought that says, a millennial is a millennial, is a person is a person. I believe that there are generational differences. And because the demographic shift is one of the principal forces shaping the fourth industrial revolution and impacting the world of work, it goes without saying that we should begin to ask ourselves, what will this mean to the kind of work and the people that will be at work? Research also tells us that the millennials, 50% of millennials would rather not work, would rather not have a career than have a career that they do not like. So it won't be a stage of, I just want to pay my bills. It will be, I want to love what I do. So we're going to be seeing a lot of impact on the way work is constructed and the kind of skills we bring to the workplace arising from demographic shifts. What will I say about societal trends? Patterns are going to change. Where my skills are, because the skills of the future are enterprise skills. So where my skills are portable, enterprise skills are portable, the portability of skills will rise. In other words, I could carry my skills anywhere I'm going. In any event, if I'm already wearing suits and jackets connected to the internet, I could carry my skills anywhere I'm going. So what does that mean? Enterprise skills, portability portability of skills? It means that invariably people will be more individualistic in the way they manage their career. We may begin, and I'm an HR person by heart. I'm a banker by soul. Excellent combination. The truth of the matter is that we will soon be having talent asking us questions at the point of resourcing. Why should I onboard my skills with your bank? So the portability of talent, societal trends will begin to, impact the way the future shapes for the world of work. People are going to be a lot more autonomous. People are going to be very individualistic, and they're going to be less concerned about tenure being a factor of their job satisfaction. Low carbon footprint development, we already understand, would help us begin to drive. It's already upon us. The green economy is already upon us. Sustainability, the drive of even within the financial sector, within the banking industry, we've got our sustainability principles. We expect that we should be paying attention to the low carbon development trends. Now, having said that, how will that impact even people and skills? We're going to be looking for carbon-friendly skills. We're going to be expecting to hire people that understand what we're talking about when we say we want to drive a sustainable organization. Haven't talked about these 5 forces shaping the world, shaping the 4th industrial revolution and driving the future of work. I'd like to focus and zoom in on technology advancement. And that's specifically because, it's the most, I don't want to say it's the most relevant, because all the other forces are relevant to us as a financial service environment. However, it's the most upon us and the most disruptive upon what we're doing. So with rapid advances in technology, who should we be hiring? Question. What kind of skills should we be looking for? Where should we attempt to find them? And I'm going to be reading from 2 research sources specifically in this regard first. And I'm going to then be playing a video and asking us to go on a journey together. So, a lady called Linda Grattan, she's of the London Business School, has done a huge, research on the future of work. She wrote a book titled The Shift. You may want to look for that book. The Shift by Linda Grattan. She talks about 10 technological shifts that she sees that are going to be upon us. The Shift is a red book by Linda Grattan. She says that, and these are not like predictions, she says, this is what I see. Technological capability will be on the increase exponentially, number 1. And what does it mean? It means, very simple, we can see already the cost of computing is falling. And with the cost of computing falling, everybody's going to own a system. So, why can't I deal? And she says that about 5 billion will become connected. Connected to do what? They'll be connected to run business. And that the cloud will become quite ubiquitous as a third. In other words, there will be a global infrastructure. Everybody will be connected by cloud. Furthermore, she goes to say, with all of this connection, productivity will soar. So it will be, how do you do your business? Productivity gains will be huge because everything will have a digital construct. Social participation will increase. Everybody is connected to everyone. And, we would have to then begin to figure out, how do we combine banking with those social changes? World knowledge will become very digitalized, she says. She says, and then we'll find mega growth of micro and huge entrepreneurs at that scale. Ever-present, increasing use of avatars all over the place. And she says, furthermore, the rise of cognitive assistants, digital assistants everywhere, in support, digital support. And with the digital assistant, what does it mean? Somebody used to do the job before, a physical assistant, then a digital assistant, an avatar takes over. Technology will replace jobs, she says finally. She says, without a doubt, robots will come into the play and they will begin to do what humans are doing. And that being the case, according to Linda Grattan, that being the case, what really do we expect about jobs and the shifts that we should be seeing? Another research, and I'm zooming in on technology and the impact on technology giving rise to the future of work and people and skills. Another report by Gartner says that there are 10, if you like, key technology trends that will influence the future of work, or that has already influenced the future of work and created it for us, and people and skills begin to follow these particular trends. revolutionize the way we render service. Who would have thought 5 years ago, let's keep it simple, who would have thought that you would be here and you would know how many minutes it will take you to get to the airport, and some Google Maps will be telling you where to turn, and you can almost accurately determine your pace by following such instructions. Artificial intelligence. So there will be the rise of what we call digital intelligence. So we're talking about now the implication on people and skills. Digital intelligence. What will be the implication in today's mobile world that I've just described? Mobile world, hugely connected, hugely dependent, multi-channel enabled. It would have to be powered by digital intelligence. So what do we mean by digital intelligence? Okay, we're talking about intelligence, skills, and capabilities that enables us translate digital data into what we see today as customer-centric solutions. Where are we going to find those skills? I'm going to ask us to watch a clip about the future of work and the kind of questions we should be asking. How best to pull this together? How best to, get our heads around the subject and begin to settle into the kind of questions we should be asking around people and culture. Can we play the first video? It's a Deloitte video, and I'm glad that
Imagine the future of work. What do you see?
Can you roll back again?
Imagine the future of work. What do you see? Do you see factories full of robots and offices teeming with AI? Do you predict that changing demographics will rewrite the rules of who works and how long? Do you anticipate the rise of a global gig economy where most people are working for themselves? All of these scenarios are emerging, but looking at them in isolation misses the point. We need to zoom out and see the big picture. Evolving technology, demographics, and power dynamics are all connected, and those connections make all the difference in the future of work. If intelligent machines can do many tasks now performed by people, what uniquely human skills will be valued? If the half-life of skills necessary for employment continues to dwindle, how can individuals, employers, and society as a whole ensure the learning modules in the education system keep up? As the global workforce gets older, younger, and more diverse, how will leaders and organizational culture have to adapt? If alternative work arrangements like short-term gigs and self-employment become more ubiquitous and mainstream, could that have profound effects on not just how we work, but where we work, how we communicate, and even how cities are designed? If augmented reality gives workers access to vast amounts of data and assistance, will workers need to become more tech-fluent for the technology to deliver on its promise? The future of work is coming. In some cases, it's already here. It's time to get to work.
So my chairman has just signaled that I have about 7 minutes left. So I'm going to rapidly go on and play the final video and get out of the way. Because I think that the work is already done. So the questions arising from this kind of clip is very simple. What should we be doing differently now? As far as specifically skill set and the people concerned. And it's very simple. We should be paying attention to the declining skills. And again, there's research all over the place that tells us which skills are declining and which skills will be the top skills in 2020, which is just next year. And the question will be, how do we pay attention to these skills? Again, World Economic Forum has an excellent, grasp on the subject matter. And they've released a lot that we can figure out, that we can get on to. But let me summarize what's going to be happening in the world of skill, in the skill sets, the shifts happening in the skills area. We're going to be having digital literacy in demand, 680%. Now, what does digital literacy mean? What does digital literacy mean to the way we do our personal development planning and the way we invest in training and the way we roll out learning and development for our various institutions? 680% more in 260% more in demand. Creative thinking. And it's not just creative thinking, we're talking about innovative capability. Presentation skills, because we still need to engage and convince, about 100% increase in its demand. And we're talking by 2020. We have a fuller view of, a construct that enables us to see 2022, which is, more, if you say, further away. But declining will still be all the other skills that we're paying a lot of attention to today in the administrative area and the personal and interpersonal area. And increasing will be analytical thinking and innovative capability, originality, and beyond just initiative, critical thinking, active learning. All of these shifts in the areas of skill set would say to us, we must do things differently. Don't forget, it's about people, future of work, people, and skills. So as we begin to make efforts to shift how we learn, what we learn, we should also be paying attention to where we program for all of this work to take place. Because as we've said, it's a combination of those 5 forces. So the demographic shifts is bringing upon you a new set of people, a new set of millennials, Generation Z, who would like to work in a certain type of environment. So there's implication for the new office space, implication for the rise virtual offices, implications for how people can commute and get to work whilst they're commuting. So it's a whole lot to do with how do we digitize people and skills? How do we digitize our, if you like, integrated talent management environment? It's about how do we go into digital transformation on the people side? How do we get our people to begin to shift their digital mindsets? How do we begin to get people to understand how to assess their own threshold? Am I ready for the future of work? There are many tools that can help us, simple questionnaires, help us assess the threshold of people. You are at this level in readiness for the future of work. I tell the young people, don't go to the university and begin to study courses that don't have any relevance in the future. We're already talking about 2020, 2022, which is just around the corner. And then you are about to go into uni now. I don't want to begin to name some courses so people don't feel offended. But I believe that by now we can... You want me to go ahead? You tell me that you are going to the... I'm sorry, people of God. Bear with me. But you tell me you're going to read English language. Come on. Come on. A robot is speaking English. You're soon going to see it in the last video I will play. A robot will stand and welcome to Stanbic IBTC. Then you are going to spend 4 years reading English language. There must be a better use of the 4 years. The panel is telling me to mention some courses. In fact, one in particular that if I mention, my husband won't let me come back home. They said accounting. How do we build digital capabilities? Using all of our organs in place, the universities, the organizations, all our stakeholders. What should people be focused on? Listen, I went to Singapore sometime last year on this subject of future of work. Our readiness within the organization sent me out there. And I saw the way a city like Singapore, don't compare their size to Nigeria, has dealt with the readiness for the future of work. They actually have a ministry, parastatal, a government parastatal that's in charge of the future of work. A government parastatal that has its own DG who came to speak to us then. So what do? They research the future skills and they compulsorily demand and regulate the environment to prepare the young ones for that future. They regulate the universities to change their curriculum. They regulate the private enterprise to change their investment in learning and development. They regulate the public enterprise to do the same. And they speak to institutes like ourselves to pay attention to building this capability. How do we embark on this transformation? Digital mindset is for all of us to stop living in denial and telling ourselves, which future, don't mind them. And then to begin to build digital skills and to begin to take ownership of digital tools. This workforce has to be enabled. Digital culture. There's getting the future of work into your environment without bringing into bear a digital environment. I'm going to be playing my last video shortly, but the truth be told, I'm going to play the last video to close, so let's get it ready. The truth be told, the future of work is upon us. It's no longer in the future, it's here now. The robots are already in the workplace. They are taking over what people used to do. At Stanbic IBTC, we have 3 robots. One does ATM reconciliation, the other loan disbursement, the other web settlement. Oh yeah. Web settlement, loan disbursement. When we went live with Easy Cash, we had 38,000 applications in under thereabout 1 month, 18,000 of which were successfully disbursed. Now, those processes did not have a manual interface, and from KYC to the entire credit check was done. So what would happen to the people who were doing it, who were running those processes? Repurposed. We repurposed them, ensure that you can do something else. So we responded in different ways, set up a digital academy. But then the individual must still take advantage of making that transition and making the required shift. That's why Linda Grattan calls the book The Shift. The Institute, Chartered Institute of Bankers Nigeria, has enabled us through this conference to think about the future of the banking industry 360 degrees. But each banker, each bank will still need to make the shift. I'd like to close with this video to get us to see what the future is going to look like. I'll step out of the way, and the next voice you're going to be hearing after the video will be the voice of the chairman of the session. But we really have to begin with a mindset shift. Understand what this is all about. Get the skills that is shifting, the shifting, declining shifts directory into our memory, and the rising continuum of enterprise skills into our memories, and then begin to enable this through the systems. Personalized learning is what I like to advance for. People must learn one by themselves at their own pace and understand what this future holds for them. Let the tape roll, please.
Morning, Jill.
Good morning, Amy. Where would you like to work today?
The office. What's the weather like today?
The temperature is 18 degrees with a 57% chance of rain. Are you ready to start your day?
Give me 10 minutes.
Okay. How would you like to get there?
I'll walk.
Do you want to ride?
No, I'm good.
Thank you. Careful, Amy. Obstacle ahead. Nearly there. Good time, Amy.
Good morning, Amy. Welcome to JLL. You have one message from William Douglas.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Your first meeting is at 10:30. Please proceed to the elevators. Have a good day.
And you.
Lisa is in today. Lunch?
Good for me.
Invite sent. Have you seen the latest report?
No.
Your coffee will be ready in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Thank you.
Tip sent. This building uses sensors to make your day more productive. Need a desk?
Maybe later.
Sure. How's the temperature?
It's fine.
Ready to start your meeting with Eloise Dupont?
I am indeed.
I'll let her know.
Bonjour Amy, ça va?
Bonjour, Eloise. Hold on.
Auto-translating.
Vous avez vérifié le document que je vous ai envoyé?
Yeah, all looks great. Thanks very much. Au revoir.
Bonne journée, au revoir, merci.
Are you happy to share your building usage data today? Have a great evening, Amy.
Plan for route home?
Stop navigation.
Navigation off.
Send a message to Tom. Are we still okay for the meeting tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock?
Message sent. Would you like to switch to personal mode?
Yes, please.
Personal mode. Work mode returns 7 a.m. tomorrow.
Confirm.
Have a nice evening, Amy. Enjoy the sunset.
Good night, Jill.
Can we give her a huge round of applause, please? Wow. Funke had given a snippet into that future, and I'm sure we're all provoked. So let's see how far the provocation had gone. And I'm going to start from Joseph. So Joseph, from what Funke had described, what kind of people are we looking at, working as the future workforce? You can please narrow it down to the banking sector, because I'm sure everyone here is now curious on who then will be doing banking. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chairman, and thank you, Funke, for that wonderful presentation. I actually thought I was going to provoke people the more by, also reading out some statistics in addition to what Funke has said. But, interestingly, to the Chairman's question, what will happen, or what kind of skills are going to be requiring as especially in the banking sector? The first thing I probably want to say is the fact that it will vary from one institution to another depending on your maturity. So that's one. So typically, you probably see things around. We're talking about an algorithm mechanic. I mean, I was talking to a client, and I said you probably will require an algorithm mechanic. He said, what does that mean? Do we need a mechanic in our bank? I said, well, exactly, you do need a mechanic in your bank. Right. So we're talking about things around credit, for instance. We're talking about things around compliance. I can tell you as I speak today, I know of a bank or one or two banks where the compliance units have reduced by almost about 60%. Because everything has been taken over by robots, by artificial intelligence. So from things around digital process designer, customer experience designer, there are all kinds of things we can talk about, in terms of the kind of skills that will be required. But I think the most important thing for me is, like Funke said in our closing remarks, how do we begin to reskill, refocus, retool our people, and retrain our people? That's going to be quite important. Now, the whole idea is the fact that we must recognize that learning must change, completely must change. The learning experience must be completely different, and it must involve the people at the end of the day. Because what you actually also see, and again, back to, I'm going to reference Funke's presentation as well. So when she talked about that the next level of skills required is going to be enterprise skills, and that's the reality. So it's not going to be a case of, I'm a specialist in this area. You need to learn a few more things. And we need to define between, or differentiate between three things. So one is what I call the work of the hand, the work of the heart, and the work of the head. Now, those three things are going to be quite critical. The ones that you're not likely to be able to replace is going to be the work of the heart. But the work of the head and the work of the hand are things that we must think about. To be honest with you, from our statistics and data so far, we realize that 47% of the jobs in the financial services area will go. And that's the reality.
Thank you very much, Joseph. So another lexicon added, algorithm mechanics. So we should start preparing to be well placed. Well, over to you. Where is Rosie? Yes, Rosie, please. We need your help here. From your banking experience, what kind of skills should HR leaders in the banking sector begin to prepare for their banks to be ready for this workforce and workplace of the future?
Thank you very much for that. I think one thing that comes to mind immediately is what Alvin Toffler said. And he said the literate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn.
Mm-hmm.
So let me take that to a recent happening. A 16-year-old Swedish activist, Greta Thunberg, came into the limelight a year ago. On climate change, was a single demonstrator in front of the Swedish parliament. A few days ago, schools were out demonstrating across the globe. She educated herself on climate change at 16. That is the workforce of the future. She understands and quoted so many things and started by saying, "We are watching you." What do we need to do in HR? We've only just, and they are now being called power skills. What do I mean by power skills? Creativity, persuasion, collaboration, adaptability, time management. Those are the first things that people are now going to need in order to perform in an agile workplace. Learning has changed. I don't know what the jobs will be 5 years from now, but I know that we have to change the way we learn and the way we deliver learning. It's got to be personalized, it's got to be bite-sized, it's got to talk around things like 5 crucial skills for the digital age, innovative and adaptive thinking, because you have to think beyond a solution. That is required in today. You can't think for today, you have to try and see round the corners, look out at sea, and see how the waves are forming. Virtual collaboration and social intelligence. We are collaborating across the globe. Information is available. That's why a 16-year-old can rev up her knowledge way past that of the President of the United States of America. If you're not able to virtually collaborate, how can you get the benefits of the cloud? Which 5 to 7 years ago, we thought the cloud was in the sky. So we're going to need that because we have to build deep and meaningful relationships with others in order to come to the solutions for the situation we'll be in this VUCA world. The ability to work across disciplines. So now you cannot survive by being siloed. You will have to definitely work across the technosphere. You have to work across algorithms. You've got to work across humans, and you must connect all of these. You must be able to transfer and integrate data at the velocity of change, if not ahead of that. Literacy in different types of media. For the first time, I have a business partner who can write code. Amazing for me. But it's telling me that things have changed. And therefore, you cannot bamboozle this person with any text speech because he understands. And he can tell you what he needs, and he can tell you that he needs it by X time. Computational thinking and analytics. And indeed, HR has suffered that more than any other profession, I think. Because HR came from hiring and firing, and now we're at the forefront where we're looking at strategy and what we need to deliver on strategy. And we're using analytics to drive decision making. So change is here. And we feel it, and we know it. We may be frightened by it, but if you get into it, it's the most liberating feeling of all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please, you can do that better. Thank you. Now to you, Habiba. The digital native, that's Gen Z and the millennials, they will constitute 75% of the workforce by 2025. So, how could the financial services sector prepare for this new stream of workers with huge generational difference and still fit into the banking of the future?
Hello? Is this working? Hello? Hello? Okay, great. Okay. Yes, thank you for that. Okay, so the millennials and Generation Z, 70% of the workforce. I think because we're talking about the future of work, we're actually talking about the future of that workforce. So I'm not sure you need to talk about generational shifts for them. We need to talk about generational shifts for those of us in this room, because the future of work has shifted away from our generation towards their generation. So they're digital natives. They are entrepreneurs. They are self-employed. People have said it here. They call them freelancers. Wherever they're working, they are their latest client. They're self-employed. And they're there for fulfilling work and work that makes a difference. Not just commercial difference, but also social impact as well. So they will be they will keep scanning the environment. What is needed? What are the gaps? What are the new skills I need to learn? And who do I need to connect with? And they will, this Cutluhan unfreeze, change, and freeze model from the 1950s in organization development is still valid today. It's just that because change is now the norm, you need to be unfreezing the way you see the world, reevaluating, changing, and then refreezing for maximum 18 months. Every 18 months, your knowledge becomes obsolete. Okay, for the digital natives, for this 70% of the workforce, they expect tomorrow to be different in their mind about what career they wanted to do yesterday, tomorrow, and their parents shouldn't have a problem with that, right? So we are the ones that really need to become more literate. When we were growing up, literacy was numeracy, being able to use numbers, being able to use statistics, being able to read and write. Now, literacy, we have to add it. Okay, many of us are mobile literate. We know how to use mobile phones to an extent. We now need to extend that digitally literate. Many bankers, especially back office bankers, are not emotionally literate. Your marketing people are. But the rest of us also have to become emotionally literate, because all those back office functions are disappearing. But so many other functions are appearing that would suit back office staff, like data scientists, algorithm mechanics. And you can learn these through online. You can learn it for your own research. And if you're somebody who needs formal learning environment, you can also learn that. And in terms of learning the skills, and this is for us more than for the millennials. I know I'm turning your subject around a bit. I've kind of flipped it on its head. But there's different learning methodologies. I know we all know about adult learning methodologies, but there's a learning methodology called accelerated learning, and similar methodologies like that help us very quickly learn to learn faster and enjoy learning faster and not being threatened by learning new things and able to adapt and adopt very, very quickly. It integrates emotional intelligence and everything. So we really need, as learning and development professionals, to really think about that. And the future workforce for banking is going to be the future workforce. It's not going to be for banking. Anybody can work in any industry, because all you need are those skills. Once you have those skills, which industry will I give who would my latest client? Just like consultants. Consultants work for a whole range of sectors. So it's a big threat, but it's a massive opportunity for financial services, because you can afford the talent. You can afford the talent, and you can give them the challenges. You can afford the technological backbones and everything that they really need. So the challenge for me is for us, for them.
Thank you very much. Can we give her a big round of applause? As for them to prepare for us. Suraj, I'm coming to you now. The board or boardroom of the future look like? And how do we...
Thank you very much, the chairman. I think virtually every speaker here has talked about millennia, and I think I'm probably the only millennia on this panel. So I think I would like to speak on behalf of the millennials in this discourse. When I was younger, in the early 90s, he was the president of CIBN at the time. I was good in primary girls. I was living in Kwara State, going to primary school, and I had a lot of. He was always coming home almost every weekend. The way Peru, he studied economics in university. I was fortunate to make a first class in economics and any jobs in the banking sector. I got a number of jobs. I got jobs, I think Stambika, BTC. I got from MG. I got from Betiva. I decided to choose one of these companies which I mentioned. Which I'm not mentioning it. The first day I went to work, I moved to Lagos State with my brother in Nigeria, working VI. The first day I got to 11 p.m. We got to 11 p.m. 4 a.m. on the road again. I landed in Jos. I still managed to do 2 more months before I felt this sector is meant for me. So I mean, since that time, the nearest I've come close to a banking career is coming to this hall to talk to bankers. So that shows I know what you went through, especially those of you that have gone high in the sector, and I what you went through. So I wanted to be a banker. I got the opportunity, but I said, you know what? I don't think I'm competent for this job. Okay, a millennial. What are the millennials? Millennials are a set of generation of people that were coming of age by the year 2000. During the turn of millennium in 2000, people who are still minor by the year 2000, who are yet to reach the age of 18 by 2000. In other words, people born from 1982 and above, people who are currently 38 and below. They have a unique work style which has been the subject of study to many researchers, and some of their features include the fact that they are achievement oriented. They like to be rewarded, they like to be pampered, they like to be, they are entrepreneurship minded. So you see them, so when they don't get some of these things they want, they covet, some of these things they desire, when they don't get it in the workplace, they don't mind leaving the job. So unlike the generation before the millennial generation, the generation X, okay, people who are currently in their 40s and 50s, who can stay in one place for 20 years, 25 years. Millennials don't have time. If they don't get what they want in 2-3 years, they don't mind living and getting. In fact, some don't mind just getting. I'm just sitting down at home, okay. And that leads us to what the chairman talked about earlier, that there is this mindset among the generation before the millennial that millennials are just not ready to work. Okay, they're not ready to work. But I don't share this view, probably because I'm a millennial myself, and that's for the fact that you get the best out of millennials if you create a workspace that can accommodate them. Okay, so so this is a food for thought for current leadership of the workplace. Like Abiba rightly said, in the next few years, we are going to witness a situation in which the millennials are going to dominate the workplace at the leadership level. Currently, they still dominate the workplace, but at the lower level. Okay, you have 50%. There's a research by a US agent that says that about 50% of the workplace will be dominated by millennials by year 2000. Okay, but they are still year 2020 rather, next year. Okay, so what I mean, to get the best out of this millennia, it's left for the current executives to prepare them for the next, to get the best out of them. Okay, they are very, very creative. Most of the best apps of these days are being funded by the millennia. Okay, so I would say, so in the next 5 to 10 years, we're going to witness a situation in which the millennials come onto leadership position. Okay, currently they occupy junior level position, maybe junior managers, supervisors, officer levels in the workplace. We are going to witness a situation in which the millennials rise to the higher level in positions of executive directors, GMs, and all of that. We are going to have people, so they are going to start to influence the overall leadership of the workplace, the culture of the workplace, okay, next 5 years. And just to protect what Abiba rightly said, it's not just for them, it's not for them, the Generation X, but for us, the Generation Y, who are coming to the workplace, and I'm sure you're going to get the best out of us. You're going to we are very, very creative, and I'm sure we're not going to let down the Generation X before us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Can we please give him a huge round of applause? I don't think there is a better way to round up the contributions than what Suraj had presented to us. That is so, so powerful. You know why? It's all about that generation. That's the generation we are handing the baton over to. If I ask in the room, how many of our boards have millennial presence? We record up to 25%. But that's a food for thought. It has really, really provoked us. And it's something we should reflect on. At this point, we'd like to take questions from you so that the panelists can address areas that you wish we should have looked at, that we have not looked at, concerning this matter, the workforce of the future, especially for the financial sector. My past president? Okay. Can anyone else in the room? Because the moment he speaks, nobody else speaks. So, my past president, sir, let's take the audience first. Then we'll come to you and to Mr. President if he wants to intervene as well. So 1, we'll give the numbers now. We will not take another round. 2, any other person in the room? 3, any other? Okay, a hand over there. 4. So that's it. 4 people from there. Then they will go in that same order. Please be brief. Half a minute maximum. Half a minute. And then we try to address your question. Make them questions. Other contributions could be sent to the organizers. I'm sure they will share with the delegates. Thank you. Number 1, please. Can we pass the mic quickly to him? Half a second gone.
Before the mic got to me, that is the thinking of the old age. So that, please, step in. Okay, my own actually, my name is Tunde Akinwa, and my own is like, it's not a question, it's a contribution. I think when Funke was making her presentation, she did mention it that one of the critical things that needed to be looked at is where. And I think that is what we should address. Today, what has happened is that our generation is passing. The new generation, the work environment will be a place where people can ask questions. Where they will say, look, why should I do it this way? And I'm glad she mentioned it. Somebody will come in and ask you a question, why should I bring my talent to your organization? So if organizations today are not preparing their own organization for that particular type of environment, they are going to lose out in it.
Thank you
The
very
second
much
part of it is the fact that in a gathering like this, I like the way she started by saying maybe some courses. Maybe we should also become a force to actually find a way of ensuring that the curriculum of our institution is changed. Otherwise, we're going to be in a situation where that globalization, you may have foreigners coming in to work for you. Thank you.
Fantastic contribution today. Thank you very much. Number 2. We allowed Tunde because his contribution was still within the 1-minute slot. So take the mic to number 3 now before we call it. Thank you, number 2.
Right. Thank you so much. That was a wonderful presentation. And but my concern is this: what are we doing to actually look at how to get the right people from the onset into the banking sector? Because as of today, I'm still aware that you have banks, even when they recruit, they just spend 1 week, 2 weeks in training school and push people out. And what is the place of professionalism that we are driving in this workforce? An institute like CIBN needs people. What are we driving at the HR level? A situation where people believe that even if I get or I become an associate, it doesn't have any credence to whatever I'm doing. All I want is to go and look for deposits and create risk assets. So please, I think it's an issue for me, and I really want you to talk about that.
Your name, sir?
Oh, my name is Dari Fadijoli Dari.
Dari, thank you very much, Dari. Number 3, please. Please, could you please take the second mic to number 4 in advance so that you don't spend time running to him later? Number 3, thank you, sir.
No, okay. I have a question to Mr. Joseph. Your name is shining, but you know there's only one Joseph. And Mariah is not here today. So, Mr. Joseph, one of my customers is in the Netherlands, is Deloitte. And we found out that all over the world, due to the digital transformation, in 3 months, every 3 months, we have to digest the same amount as information as our grandparents did in their whole life. So we are old people, we are ancient of 30 years and older, But what we found at Deloitte Netherlands with the young people between 20 and 30, they are so stressed out, near burnt out, that the CEO of Deloitte decided to put them on meditation. So I was there in this hall of 5,000 Deloitters, and the CEO in front with his headphone on, meditating with his staff. Do you think that trend from Deloitte Hall?
Well, that's a question for Deloitte. I don't know how much it has to do with workforce of the future for the financial services. But your question. Number 4. Go ahead, please.
Hi, my name is Ahmed, and I want to add to what Suraj said.
Could you be more audible, please?
Hi, my name is Ahmed, and I would like to add to what Suraj said. And Funke gave a very interesting presentation on the future. But then we have a monster right now in the banking industry, like fatigue, stress, and we are not aggressive. Okay? So there is a correlation between productivity and less working hours. At CIBN and people like Funke here, what are you going to do to ensure that we work less hours and then we have more leave days and then work from home? Because as he said, millennials, we want to have an environment where we are free.
All right. Thank you very much, Ahmed. Thank you. Thank you. Now we're going to take the last two, and that's coming from our past president and the president and chairman of council. Could you please pass the presidential mics to them?
Thank you, Chairman, and the erudite panelists. My name is Chegun Ajibola, past president. Now I have a concern. I lecture in the university, and I've handled undergraduate, postgraduate at all levels. We have wonderful ideas coming from here, but I always ask, who will bear the cat? National Universities Commission is a stone's throw from here. What we still have today as approved curricula for these programs, I look at the curricula for my son reading economics. It's slightly different from what I was taught 40 years ago. And either you are talking about first generation university, the new university and so on. I've gone around. I started from Ife, lecturing. I can't see any difference. So there's a big disconnect between ideas flowing wonderfully from this kind of audience and many others, and what is happening on the field. Funke said something and we laughed. The curricula we have today, accounting, business administration, religious studies, Arabic studies, Yoruba, and so on. If we take stock of the millennials here, what are they studying in the university? 90% will be on this. Business management, not business generation. So how do we now fill this disconnect between the wonderful ideas flowing from this kind of gathering? We have other professional bodies here. ICANN, NBA, and so on. We meet over and over, even the umbrella body, Association of Professional Bodies of Nigeria. Ideas come, but they don't get to where they should get to. If you want to change it, at times, when you want to tinkle even with what is approved, they tell you, your quality assurance department, the university will tell you are deviating from the approved benchmarks. So what do we do to now bridge this gap? Otherwise, 2025 will come, 2030 will come, we still discover that we are where we are.
Wow.
Thank you, my immediate past president. I just needed to intervene on what we're doing. CIBN of the future did actually reassess the skill in the industry. and came up with a new curriculum, because primary focus now is building the content for the future. We did that in conjunction with international institutions, the Deloitte of this world, IFC, even World Bank had an input and all that. And we came out with, the curriculum. We were still not satisfied. We wanted one of the big five to look at the content. PwC won, of course, that assignment and came up with something beautiful. And we have given the exposure drafts to most of the international institutions as well as the stakeholders here. And that is, if you look at the content of that curriculum, is what virtually we are saying here. We talked about the digital skill, cryptocurrency, the major technology play that is happening. That's what our members will have to go. We also do realize, maybe because my past president, when he dropped office, of course, an erudite scholar, he has that passion for this. But what we did was we had a conference with NUC in CIBN Secretariat in conjunction with Nigerian Economic Summit Group, because we do realize that what they're teaching them in university today cannot take us there. They are not fit for role. And a reflection of that is you find out that most banks have their academies. Yeah. The banks' academies are only supposed to train for culture. Right. If our universities are churning out, why CIBN give them the professional balance? But that is not happening. NUC had been resistant, but by the time the chair or whatever of NUC came to our secretariat, he bought the whole idea. So we are changing the curriculum of banking and finance curriculum anytime soon. So I just needed to let you know what we're doing. We need to revolutionize this, because I believe and passion that if we have to, the next frontier is Nigeria. Absolutely. And you cannot do this without skilled workforce. And so it's very important for us. We're even introducing the soft skills. I come from the background, I had my postgraduate program in emotional intelligence. So I do realize and appreciate that we need to reassess the skills. We're not even stopping there. We also have a program to reassess the skills of our current members so that they can be fit for role for their next journey in life. While the banking academies, we continue to work with them to make sure that the programs that we have is required for the next generation. So please, there is a major rally that is happening in CIBN. Get your people on the train. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Well, can we please appreciate Mr. President for that update? I thought that was a powerful update we just received. And in my capacity as the president of the Chartered Institute of Personnel Management of Nigeria, I want to extend hand of fellowship to CIBN that on the platform of Association of Professional Bodies of Nigeria, we can actually drive that agenda with NUC. The model is like what Nigerian bar, the Nigerian legal profession runs. There is a law school. After you graduate from the university, the law school prepares you to practice as an attorney, okay? There is a need for that same thing to be replicated. In the medical profession, it's similar. I think someone should not be in banking if they have not gone through the banking academy, whatever we want to call it. Someone should not practice HR without going through the human resource academy. We should replicate that to professionalize Nigerian professional practices and prepare for the future of work. Thank you very much. So, for the sake of time, I would like to throw it open to our panelists here in the following order. Rosie, you will lead the way. Please do it in a minute. I know it's tough. Funke will follow. We'll keep Joseph last to address the issue with Deloitte. I will have Suraj come before Joseph. So let the ladies go first. Rosie, Funke, Abiba.
So around recruitment today and also around professionalism of the program, you think about you put people into training for a month. In First Bank, we actually put them in training for 3 months. But it's not only about the technical capability that you're trying to build. It's the mindset, and it's also around experiential learning. So if you were to go look into it, you say, what are the kind of people we're recruiting? You're recruiting for attitude and cultural fit, but you're training for technical capabilities. If we try and work around that, we have a chance of success. Often we get fixated around the technical bit and don't pay enough attention to culture. When I talk about culture, I'm talking about values, I'm talking about conduct, I'm talking about customer service, the attitude of delivering service, etc. So if we look at that, then you have to think about the power skills. Can that individual collaborate? How do we push that? So the chain that we have to necessarily go through is the type of learning that is opened up to people as they are recruited into an organization. So to shift people away from, I have to sit in a classroom before I learn, to how do I take bite-sized information as and when I need it and rapidly to allow me to change my scope, my understanding, my capabilities. Let me pause there and let Funke take it up from there.
Thank you. And just to build on that is to say that really it's not about just going into the classroom to learn. Careers are changing in banking now. The clusters of careers have replaced the job, what you know as job families. It's been replaced with clusters of careers. But you wouldn't be able to to navigate if you do not have the skill set required to navigate those clusters. So we've got digital teams, and I know several other banks have the same thing. In my bank, we've got 4 or 5 digital teams. These teams are people who are not, the skill pools are not the regular skill pools where you say banking operations, treasury. It's not what you're used to. Credit. It's not credit management. It's not the usual skill sets you're used to. We have a team called Ideas. Innovation, digitization, enablement, and analytics. IDEA. IDEA. Ideas. That is the career cluster. So, coming into that team means that you have the skill set required to generate those ideas. It's a cluster of skills. Your career can find expression in there. We've got an enterprise data office. It's all about careers along the data continuum. So the fluidity of your career in banking today is equal to, and listen to this formula, the fluidity of your career in banking today is equal to your personal commitment. Your personal commitment to embracing the changing skill set required. Every bank is almost indeed today a technology company. So invariably, if that is the pathway, you're saying, how quickly can I bring those skills to table to support my bank or to support any bank to advance their offerings on the digital construct? So I would say that learning it's gone beyond the two days, 2 months, 3 weeks and co in the training school. It's the learning on the job. It's the experiential learning on the job. It's the learning that the career systems avail you. They're moving from one job to the other to get an experience within a short space of time. In our graduate training program, you must do 3 rotations. You must go in 3 different rotations. We have a special one now for digital careers where you must rotate only into the digital environment in your career. And talking about, I didn't think we should go away without talking about how do we begin to work less hours. So, a
again, because we're embracing a lot of change, technology is moving in. Digital work tools. Most banks are beginning to embrace the agile ways of working. They are beginning to embrace what we call, and we all know to be flexible policy, flexible ways of working, where you can have an opportunity to work from a remote location, and indeed they put technology tools. We put technology tools to that. So everybody's on Office 365. So on that day you need to work remotely. You can work from home if you have extenuating circumstances. So you've worked late, you've worked, and you can always have an arrangement with your line manager to say, look, I worked late yesterday, I'm not coming in early tomorrow. As a matter of fact, I'm going to work from the closest branch to my house. So work tools with the digital construct, we really don't have a choice but to begin to embrace remote working.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so I wanted to answer the question.
I'm sure that provoked some thinking. So let's hear from Abiba. Thank you.
I wanted to answer the question about the board. Now, I'm on the board of Axiom Microfinance Bank, and we recognized that we needed to face this digital transformation head-on, and we created a board committee, Channels and Technology. So we have a specific board committee to tackle this particular issue. Boards need to realize and get their organizations ready, reorganize, re-engineer for the digital transformation. So as leaders, that's what you have to do. But very few of you are equipped to do it. So the next thing you have to do is empower digital leadership. You have to educate your board. You have to educate your board, you have to educate your management. They all know what blockchaining is and all these. They've heard these terms, but they don't really know what they are, okay? They can't lead and they can't prepare your organization if they don't understand. So you need to really educate your board. You've got very intelligent people there. And educating them means data analysis, technology project assessment, and things like that. And then the digital talent life cycle that that's what we're talking about, digital talent life cycle, is you need to eliminate some barriers like years of experience before you recruit somebody. What has years of experience got to do? Do you have the skills I need? Absolutely. You know, there's some barriers that we have. We have to review all your HR policies to make sure it's digital friendly. Yes. And then work-life integration. Millennials do work-life integration. They don't split their personal life and their work life. So if you give them the flexibility and give them the results that they need to deliver, don't be too bothered about managing them for presence. Manage them for performance. And performance management is also going digital. You know, when you have your ratings on Airbnb, Uber, you know, you rate the driver rates you. Performance management ratings too will be following stuff from one organization to the other. You know whether the person is a performer or not. So get ready for the future.
Thank you.
Okay, so I earlier talked about the stress that comes with banking, especially for those of us within the millennial demographic in the workplace. I took the easiest way out. I ran out of banking and I joined oil and gas sector. But not everybody wants to do that. So I would just advise the HR leaders to try to do as much as possible to make the workplace as better for millennials, to get the better of the millennials. Need to make the workplace better for them. For example, in Japan, there is this concept called karoshi, in which people were dying from the workplace, and somebody will just sit on his desk, and before you know it, the guy is dead because of stress from the workplace. So what they tried to do in Japan was to come up with some initiatives, and one of them is 4-day week. I'm not saying Nigeria is perhaps right for that yet. I'm not saying banking sector in particular is right for that, but these are things that are doing in some other countries where if the job allows you to work for just 4 days, maybe a little longer, on the 4 days, then you could do that. That really worked in some other countries. Then another thing that has to do with this is flexibility. Funke talked about flexibility that some banks are introducing already. She talked about what they are doing in Stanbic. 3 years ago, I was reading about Sterling Bank trying to introduce similar things. So if you have a flexible work arrangement in which people can work from almost anywhere, then it makes all these things, it reduces all the stress I talked about, okay? So that we don't have a case of people dying from the workplace. I almost died, but you know that. Okay. So another other point I'd like to make is just language. Okay, there is going to be international in the workplace of there are going to be international mobility of labor in the next few years. Of course, we are there already. I still have my 9 to 5 job in the oil and gas sector, and few weeks ago, my boss, who is a British, called me from London and said, "Suraj, do you speak French? Can you read and write in French?" I said no. Okay, what led to that? A new company acquired my company, and one of their business interests is in Niger Republic, and we know Niger is a francophone country, and they wanted to add to my portfolio where I'm going to manage the function I handle in Nigeria, and now it's going to cover that of Niger Republic as well. Okay, I still got the job anyway, I still got it anyway, got that portfolio. But if, for example, I resign from this job, for example, the next person that's going to take over for me, language is going to be a consideration for that person. Okay? Can you speak French? If all of them tie an interview, for example, the guy that speaks French might have an edge. So I would advise us within that millennial age group to try as much as possible to learn more languages. You never can tell where it is going to be very, very important. Thank you very much.
Now we'll give the floor to Joseph to address the Deloitte issue. Just on a lighter note, he talked about language literacy. I think there will be technology very soon that you could just hook on your ear, and then you speak any language that you want. You speak your mother tongue, and it gives you whatever, and they exist already. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Chairman. Before I talk to you, I'll be speaking to the Deloitte issue. I think it's important to also put some perspective to a couple of things that we spoke about, we've spoken about rather. Now, let me start with the very first question about, I think it was more of a comment from Tunde. I think it's important to dimension this thing properly. And for us, at Deloitte, we try to dimension this whole future of work from 3 perspectives. So there's the work, there's the worker, and there's the workforce. And you cannot talk about future of work without addressing those 3 elements. So it's important to address those 3. Tunde was talking about where you work, the workplace, because that's going to be quite critical. And it's only when you run some of those analysis or scenarios or models that it begins to make sense in terms of what exactly do you want to do. And that takes me to the next question around what what banks are doing. Now, pretty much, I've worked for a couple of banks, and I can tell you that things are changing. Now, let me tell you the truth is the fact that the banks that fail to change will be left behind. It's a matter of time. So it's not going to be an option. It is a must do. So it's not a nice to have going forward. So it must be, I think the issue is, how do we sell this? How do we make the right business case? Now, 3 things are critical, and I've seen that played out in so many, at so many, occasions. So first is the fact that there is what I call the fear factor. There is the issue around our cultural beliefs, or beliefs as it were. So the issue is, some leaders today believe that if you're not in the office, for instance, you're not working. It's cultural, whether we like it or not. There's the issue of infrastructure, right? So the issue is, if I ask you to go and work, or to work from home, so I need to buy you Wi-Fi, I need to get X, Y, Z. But what we don't realize is this. I did a analysis for a client, and I said, you know what? You are losing about 4 hours a day because you ask people to come to the office. Yes. Now, multiply 4 hours by the number of staff, or employees that you have. It's a lot. It's massive. And that was what actually informed the change, thought, right? So I think, again, is how do we sell this whole issue around future of work? Now, the other thing is the issue of fear. A lot of us are still afraid. Now, when you talk about the future of work, the first thing people think about is people will lose their jobs. The answer is no. And I use this example a lot. I said, we're all bankers here. Let's think about the ATM revolution. What happened thereafter? The ATM revolution created more jobs for some people. So you now have armor carriers. They were never available at that point in time. So the issue is, we found, sorry, Chairman, I know I have just one minute, but I'm probably going to add 1 more minute. Now, what we found out is the fact that for every job that seems to be at risk, you are going to create additional 1.744 jobs. And I think it's important that we take note of that. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is the point around how do we then take this forward from an HR point of view. Clearly, our entire talent management process must change. Whether it is performance management, even in terms of how we reward people must change. Now, how do we even talk about career must change. And importantly, it's also it's for us to realize the fact that it is not just, and I'm going to say this again for the sake of emphasis, it's not just about millennials. Let's not get this thing wrong. The whole future of work, it's about the entire workforce ecosystem. We must recognize the fact that we must, in our talent strategies, we must recognize the entire workforce system. Whether it is the baby boomers or the veteran, whatever you want to call them, the entire, 4 generations. And we'll get to the 5th one anyway, very soon. So in our own strategies, please don't think about this whole future of work as being just millennial driven. You must recognize every other generation. Now, back to, finally on the Deloitte issue. Now, first and foremost, that is coming to me as a bit of a surprise, to be honest, because, I sit here today, and I can tell you I get emails. I send emails to my client, and it's telling me, I'm not at work today. In fact, I actually work Monday, Wednesdays, Fridays. Right? Because the whole idea is, from the global point of view, we've told ourselves that if we are going to be in a comfort of future of work, we must also exhibit and demonstrate the same thing. So, I sit here today, maybe I go to the office twice a week. It all depends. And the same thing with my people. So you decide as to where you want to come and where you don't want to come. The only thing that's critical is the fact that we try to ensure that people don't get to the point where that is abuse at the end of the day.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Can we give him a big round of applause? I have thoroughly enjoyed myself. So in 2 minutes, we are rounding up. We are closing now. And I really want you to be involved in summarizing the key nuggets that we've taken out of this session today. First, the forces driving fourth revolution as shared by Funke. How many are those? How many? It's like the gallery delegates are the ones responding. How many? Thank you. And we learned some new terminologies today. New nomads, digital natives, algorithm mechanics, the hand, the heart, and the what? Which ones will remain? Wow, you are a wonderful audience. We learned about digitization of people and skills. And most importantly, we learned about preparing the workplace of the future for the workforce of the future that will be predominantly the Gen Z and the Gen Z and Suraj, did you hear them?
Why?
The Gen Z and
Gen Y.
They are shy. They don't want to admit that we will be the endangered generation by then. Just about 25% of us helping to manage the last phase of the transition. Thank you very much. You've been a wonderful audience. Thank you. Thank you.
So he's not just a president, he's also a teacher. Mr. President, you need to remain. Please remain on your seats. Let me invite Otumba Mrs. Debola Oshibogun, former past president, FCIB, to step forward and present the plans to them. You're welcome.
Well, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I think we need to give it up again for this panel. They've done wonderfully well, haven't they? And to our distinguished chairman, who is also a president of CIPN, I'm sure he's been able to teach us. The way he saw the program through was like he was teaching all his students. Thank you very much for sharing and for making sure that we all learned something. And especially the millennials that are up there, They were part of it. I'm sure you understood everything that happened here today. Thank you very much. We pray that God will continue to bless you. Thank you so much. And this is being presented on behalf of the President and the Chairman of Council.
The next is to our keynote speaker.
And then, interestingly, this is a balanced panel, isn't it? We have 3 ladies and 3 men. Please give it up for CIBN for ensuring that this is balanced. And of course, for getting a lady president to come and do the presentation. Okay. You gave us a beautiful session. You gave us food for thought. And I'm sure we're not going to leave here the same. Thank you for all your contribution. This is presented to you on behalf of the President and Chairman of Council. And I hope that next time we call on you, you'll be here.
The next one is to Mr. Joseph Olofishola.
Mr. Joseph, it is obvious that you are indeed a professional. And by all standards, I know that the last course that I went for, they said we're all going to live up to 100. And the workforce is going to, the age of the workforce is increasing from 60 to 70. So how we're going to do it, I don't know. But anyway, you have done so wonderfully well today. We appreciate your contribution. And so this is being presented to you on behalf of the President and Chairman of Council. Thank you.
Next is to Habiba.
Habiba.
Balogun.
She deserves a hug from me, though. Well, your contribution was very inspiring. You know your onions, and it's very obvious. So this is being presented to you on behalf of the President and Chairman of Council for being part of the panelists. Thank you very much.
And now to Rosie Ebiato.
Rosie is part of me and I'm part of her, aren't we? Thank you. Well, Rosie, you've done very well this morning. We've gained from your wealth of experience. We see that the workplace is something that is your passion, and you are qualified to have delivered what you did today. This is being presented to you on behalf of the President for your contribution to this session. Thank you very much.
And now finally, on behalf of the millennials who are upstairs there, and to say, Suraj, for running away from banking, this is your compensation.
Well, can you imagine a baby boomer presenting to a millennial? Huh? But when they see both of us, will they know the difference? You have added color to this session, Suraj, and we are indeed very grateful. Even though you are not part of the banking sector, you had been part of it, so you would always continue to be a banker. On behalf of the President and Chairman of Council, I say a very big thank you for being part of this session.
So let me invite the office holders to please join us up here for the photograph.
Well done. Very good.
And so while that is going on, the ushers will distribute our feedback forms so that you can give a feedback very quickly before we move on to the next session. Can we do that as fast as possible? Let's appreciate them as they step down from the podium. Thank you very much. And we will immediately go into the next session. And the focus of the next session will be driving digital and innovation. Let me welcome the forum